Council meeting of March 7th, 2022 to order. The invocation and pledge of allegiance will be led by Councilmember Perkins.
Thank you. Please join me in the Lord's Prayer. Our Father,
who art in heaven,
hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Amen.
Stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I will now ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Councilmember Perkins.
here.
Councilmember Perry.
Here.
Councilmember Rhodes. Councilmember Gillig. Councilmember Yanatuno. Councilmember Jones.
Present.
Councilmember Leopard.
Here.
Let the record show that 4 of the 7 council members are present. Minutes from February 22nd, regular and committee of the whole meetings were distributed. Are there any questions, concerns, or additions? Seeing none, the minutes will stand approved as presented. We are now under committee reports. Finance Committee, anyone from the Finance Committee have a report?
No report, Madam President.
Thank you. Law and Community Planning, Councilman Leopard.
No report, Miss Madam President.
I'll let it go. Materials and Equipment, Councilmember Jones.
No report at this time, Madam President.
Thank you. You're the new favorite, Ken. Yeah, for a few minutes. Personnel and Labor Relations, Councilmember Perry.
No report, Madam President.
Thank you. Recreation and Public Property, anyone from that committee have a report?
No report, Madam President.
Thank you. And Street, Sidewalks, and Sewers, Councilmember Perkins.
No report, Madam President.
Thank you. And Economic Development and Downtown Planning, anyone from that committee have a report?
No report, Madam President.
Thank you. Committee of the Whole, does anyone see the need for a Committee of the Whole meeting? Okay, we are now under reports of the officers. The mayor is absent this evening due to a bi-yearly NOPEC board retreat. So I just have a couple items under his report. Tiffin was ranked number 10 in the nation for major economic development projects out of nearly 600 like-sized cities. So it's a great accomplishment for the city. The first portion of ARPA funds have been determined and in tonight's packet. Congratulations to Goodwill on their remodel and their grand reopening. Additionally, congratulations to Tiffin Calvert, Tiffin Columbian, and Heidelberg men's basketball for their achievements this past week. And then lastly, Matt Watson, city engineer, is here this evening to provide his annual engineering department update to council. So Matt, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Madam President. As always, I greatly appreciate the opportunity to come before council and not only update city council on everything that's going on in the city engineer's office, but the public as well. Before getting into the presentation, first and foremost, I want to apologize. It's going to be a lengthy presentation. I've went through it numerous times and couldn't figure out anything else to cut out of it, but I am pretty confident that I should be able to beat Rob Chappell's presentation from last year, even though it's pretty long. So without that, there should be a PowerPoint presentation. There we go, popping up, and I'll dive right into the presentation. So first and foremost, I want to update everyone in regards to staffing. It's hard to believe this is actually going on my 9th year at the city of Tiffin. This will be my 4th year serving in the capacity as city engineer. Our assistant city engineer is Jason Mortar. He just finished his 2nd year in that role. His main duties are to be our lead design engineer. So he will be doing the plans and the bid books for a lot of the local projects that we take on, doing the design internally within our office. Also assisting me with project and contract management, as well as this year he's going to take on the role of being our lead GIS tech. And I'll get into the detail of that a little further in the presentation. And he also manages the permitting process within our office for sewer taps, street cuts, and stormwater permits. Our engineer tech 1 is Ryan Steinmetz. Glad to have him on board. He just started in our office last Monday. He has a bachelor's degree from Bowling Green State University in construction management, so he's going to be a huge asset for our office. His role is primarily going to be our on-site inspector for all the public and private projects that go on in our community, as well as we're going to train him into doing our annual culvert inspections that we're required to do. My plan is to have Ryan get his stormwater inspection accreditation next year. So he'll be a certified stormwater installer for us as well. On the zoning inspector side, Dan Brickner, he's still our zoning inspector. He just finished year 4 in that role. In addition to being our zoning inspector, he's our city and engineer's office architectural board of review representative. And he also oversees the maintenance code for the city of Tiffin. And I will say Dan's done an admirable job this year, and he's a huge asset to the city of Tiffin, and I'm going to get into a little more detail later on in the presentation of the workload that he's taken on this past year. Our engineer aide is Dawn Wright. We brought her on last year, and she just finished her first year as our engineering aide. Last year, she obtained her notary public, so she's able to notarize many of the documents that we execute internally in our office, and she primarily serves administrative role. She manages our sewer tapper licensing, assists with the bidding process, reviews certified payrolls for all the public projects that we have going on throughout our community, through our office, and then does a lot of administrative work with dockets and minutes for the various boards and commissions that our office is required to be the secretary for, such as the Architectural Board of Review, the Zoning Board of Appeals, the Planning Commission, and now the Board of Control. So we've had a lot of turnover and change in that office in the recent past. I greatly appreciate the administration and city council's support getting our staffing levels to where they're at now. I'm fully confident that they're where they need to be. We have the proper coverage that we need to effectively manage all the different scopes that we're required to manage for the city. The main focus moving forward for us in regards to staffing is staff development. So of the 4 employees that I just mentioned within the city engineer's office, if you add up their total combined experience here at the city of Tiffin, it's only 7 years. So we got a lot of time that we need to devote to get them developed, and that's going to be a big thing for us moving forward. Next, I want to talk about strides we've made in regards to functionality and efficiency. I've covered this every year with our presentation. I strongly feel that improving functionality gains us efficiencies, and that's what makes us successful in what we do. Last year, we were able to finalize scanning all the zoning permits within our office. The year before, we had finalized scanning all the sewer tap permits. Both of those records are organized through our master records by address. That master records by address now has 16,600 files that have been scanned in the last 3 years. So we built a very extensive database, and I'm very proud of the efforts that we've done to get to this point. Another thing that I want to go over is Arcgis Online. So I'll click a link here to show City Council our developments in regards to our GIS program. The past couple presentations I've given City Council, I've talked about how we continue to develop our GIS mapping within our office. Previously, our mapping was only housed through our desktop versions of our software. We had an internal, we use Google as our placeholder. But, you know, that data was not readily available to the public. So last year, we went about creating Arcgis Online. And if you go to the city engineer's office webpage, go to maps, you will see there is an option for interactive GIS map. So what we've been able to do was successfully take a lot of the data that was readily available on our desktop versions and make it available to the public 24/7 through our city webpage and Arcgis Online. So if you access this map, we have layers anywhere from the addresses to the Architectural Board of Review District, to the city-maintained bridges, the community reinvestment areas, our road culverts that we maintain, our floodplain boundaries, schools, truck routes, the different wards, and our zoning map. So you just click on the different layers, you can turn them on and off, you can create various maps, and this has helped us significantly. We get a lot of questions on a daily basis from appraisers wanting to know what zoning districts certain properties are in. So having this data readily available through this online GIS mapping, I think is very crucial and helps eliminate a lot of the questions we're answering on a daily basis and further gains efficiencies within our office. So like I said, you can just turn different layers on and off, zoom in and out. It's a nice interactive map that we have available. Bouncing back to the presentation, digitized sewer maps. So this has been a primary goal of ours since I took over as city engineer 3 years ago. We currently are operating off of paper sewer maps. Well, we were. Every time we needed to make a change to those sewer maps, you physically had to grab an electric eraser, change the line, and then twice a year we would scan all those paper maps into our system to have the most updated version. I want to give Brandon Berner a lot of credit. He took this upon himself to keep this moving forward in his role at Public Works. So he's brought to us IMGIS. It's a new online GIS platform. And last week we met and we're beginning to roll out the digital sewer map. So all the data has been uploaded to IMGIS. We have tablets now in the city engineer's office as well as Public Works so that we can readily make the changes to the sewer maps in the field to the online platform. Also, what's great about this IMGIS is that it can house not only the sewer maps, but all that data that I just showed you on our Arcgis Online that we pay an annual subscription fee for. So moving into this year, like I said, Jason's going to be our main GIS tech. We are going to transition from our desktop and our Esri products and house all of our GIS data in this new IMGIS platform. So Jason's going to have a significant amount of time personalizing and editing the existing layers that we have in our desktop versions as we transition over to the IMGIS platform. Furthermore, we're going to focus on building new layers. The old desktop version wasn't the most user-friendly. This IMGIS platform is more user-friendly, so we feel more confident in making the necessary map changes that we need to make as we change city boundaries, as well as building new layers. So I know Chief Pauly had the request that we create a layer for snow emergency streets. That we intend to do that. We intend to make that readily available on the city's website in the future after that layer is built, as well as developing a layer for survey monuments. And I'll talk about all the work we're doing towards survey monuments later on in the presentation as well. Online payments. So we piggybacked off the great efforts of Kathy Kaufman, our finance director. They went live with online payments in the finance department January 1st, as many of you know. And online payments has been a thing that we had also been hoping to accomplish. So we piggybacked off their efforts and we went live as well January 1st. So all the permits that you obtain from the city engineer's office can also be paid online as well. So we're very happy that we got our office to that point. Social media. So if you reference that pic to the right of this slide, last year I was the main one that did all the social media posts providing the public updates in regards to our projects. Kind of just set the basis, and now I'm glad and appreciative that we brought Nick Dutro on board in his new role as Director of Communications, and he's only going to continue to improve our efforts of updating the public on a daily basis of all the projects we have going on. The city website, I'm very excited that we're moving forward as a city to update our website. We put in a lot of time over the last 3 years building the systems and collecting the data that we have. So I think the timing's perfect. we can now integrate all this data and the work that we've done over the last 3 years and include that into the new website and make so much data available to the public on a 24/7 basis. Finally, fee schedule updates. We're always looking for ways to offset costs and/or increase revenues. Greatly appreciate City Council's support late last year with the approval of the legislation to amend the fees for preliminary and final plat reviews. We tailored that off of the costs that the Seneca County Regional Planning is charging to review preliminary and final plats. We were significantly lower, so we felt we should match, being that we're all housed in the same county. Our fee schedule should be the same. Also tonight, City Council would be reading and potentially voting on Ordinance 2216. I guess I'm not sure that can happen now with the emergency, but that legislation is essential with all the private development we have going on. So that ordinance establishes a fee schedule for plan review, inspection, and testing fees for private development. Two big things with this. There's a lot of private development going on. The city engineer's office invests a significant amount of time overseeing not only the plan review, but the construction as a result of that private development. So we only felt that it was fair to be able to start charging fees to offset the cost that we're incurring overseeing these private development projects. This ensures that the infrastructure that the private development's putting in that's going to be turned over to the city upon its conclusion for maintenance purposes is built to the standards and the expectations that we expect. So we don't want people to go in there and not abide by all of our regulations, turn it over to the city to maintain, and then Brandon Berner at Public Works is spending a lot of time and money investment into maintaining something that should have been built right the first time. So this helps offset the costs that we're incurring in that process. It also talks about the stormwater management program. So I'm going to get into more detail on that future in this presentation, but it helps establish fees and allows us the opportunity to provide a lot of the inspections that are being required throughout the city in regards to private development based upon the Ohio EPA's mandated stormwater management program. And I did some preliminary numbers. I just want to say that this ordinance does have the potential on a lot of years to generate in excess of $10,000 in additional revenue. So as we brought on Ryan Steinmetz in that engineer tech position, who's going to be doing a lot of these inspections, really what we're paying him in his salary, some of that is going to get significantly offset with the addition of these fee schedule revisions. So we're always looking at ways to offset costs and add additional revenue. Program implementation and management. We have a lot of programs that we're responsible for overseeing in the city engineer's office. First and foremost, the big long-term control plan, the Ohio EPA mandated long-term control plan, which I know I've addressed the council. We have $58.5 million based on 2016 dollars of sewer work that has to be done on our sewer collection system by 2040. Of that 58.5 million, 47.5 million needs to be completed by 2029. So we got a lot of sewer work ahead of us here in these next 7 years. And as part of that long-term control plan, we're still working on projects that were completed over 10 years ago. So prior to this long-term control plan that we're currently implementing, we did we had a plan that basically went around and did full separation. There was the Phase 3 and Phase 3B projects. Phase 3B was finishing up when I started 9 years ago. As part of those projects, we're still experiencing at least one cross connection in the storm sewer that was supposed to be outletted into Rock Creek at the Sandusky River by the intersection of Riverside Drive and Liberty Street. Last year, we spent a significant amount of time in a collaborative effort between the city engineer's office, Public Works Department, and wastewater treatment plant staff. We went around and dye tested 12 properties within that Cso 17 basin area. We did identify a couple properties that did have cross connections with those efforts. So we have a plan in place to hopefully finally put this project to bed in 2023. In 2022, those cross connections are going to be eliminated. And in 2023, Brandon has a great plan at Public Works to move forward and do the necessary work to allow us to finally outlet that storm sewer to the waterway that it was supposed to. And this is huge for us because the area on East Market Street between Rock Creek and Circular Street near University Apartments, they often get a lot of basement backup when you get a large intensity rainfall event. And the reason for that is they're at the end of that sewer system. So that sewer is very shallow. And then when you get that large rainfall event, without having the downstream sewer fully separated and allowing that stormwater to escape out in the river, the water has nowhere to go. So at that highest point, that water's coming up through the people's basements. So this has been a big priority for us to move this forward, to solve these real world problems that the people are having. And I'm very confident and happy that we're to the point where we're at. Flow monitoring, we have 6 locations throughout the city that we're getting monthly reports on the number of CSO overflow events we've had on that monthly basis. And then funding plan. So like I said, we have a $58.5 million worth of sewer work to be done, Ohio EPA mandated by 2040. As I said, that was 2016 dollars. So we're moving forward this year, working with a consultant to develop a funding plan that will bring all the projects that are being proposed over that time period, inflating their costs to what that cost should be based upon that proposed construction year. So that $58.5 million that we're proposing is going to substantially increase as a result of those being 2016 dollars and the inflation that has taken place from 2016 to now, in addition to the large inflation that we're currently seeing. Also, in addition to just updating our cost estimates, we're going to identify potential project-specific funding sources. So we're going to look at each project, see what grant, loan, bonding opportunities are out there for each project on a specific basis, and really define a plan on how we work through this next 18 years and $58.5+ million worth of work. So it'll be a nice guide for us as we really get into the in-depth piece of this plan in the next 7 years. Survey monument preservation. I've talked about this as well in past presentations. Over the last 2 years, we began preserving and installing monument boxes on all survey monuments that are located within roads that we're paving. This is a collaborative effort with our office, Hank and Associates, the local surveying firm in town, as well as Public Works. So the city engineer's office goes out, does the research, finds where all the monuments are potentially within roads that we're paving. The engineer's office goes out and does the initial dig on those monuments to see whether or not they're existing. Then we work with Hank and Associates to shoot in all the monuments with GPS coordinates prior to paving. So that way, if they're disturbed during our construction efforts, they can be installed back to the location that it previously was following the paving. And then we work with our Public Works Department upon the completion of the paving to install monument boxes like you see in that picture on the right at the conclusion of the project. Last year, we installed 20 monument boxes just off the roads we paved last year. And at the end of this year, which will be our 3rd year implementing this program, we will have installed 44 monument boxes throughout the community. So this is very helpful not only to the city engineer's office and the Public Works in identifying the survey center lines of roadways in a quick manner, as well as the right-of-ways, but hopefully preserving these monuments helps our residents as they need private survey work done in our community. These monuments being readily available and accessible without having to do much work in digging will hopefully help them get their surveys done at a fraction of the cost that they would have if those monuments would have been lost during our project. Traffic signal warrant studies. So last year, as everyone knows, we hired a consulting firm. We did 4 traffic signal warrant studies at a number of intersections throughout the city. At the conclusion of those studies, we moved forward with removing 2 signals. We removed the signal at Jefferson and Co., as well as the signal at Main and Circular. That was definitely a learning experience for myself. And I will say that we did move forward doing 4 more studies beginning in the fall of last year. And we took everything we learned from that first phase and tried to do a much better job and address the concerns that not only City Council had, but the public had with the way things were done the first time. So in the fall and the winter, we did counts at 4 different intersections. We did counts at North Washington Street with its intersection of Hudson and Harrison. We did a count at Jefferson and Main, Jefferson and Madison, and then Frost Parkway and Market Street. Like I said, we did 2 counts, 7 hours each day for each intersection. So we devoted 56 hours into traffic counts at those 4 intersections. To date, we are done counting at 3, and we finalized our report on 3 of the 4. We're going to do 1 more count this spring at Jefferson and Main. The reason for the 3rd count at that intersection is because the data wasn't characteristic of between the first and the second. We saw a lot of fluctuation in our numbers. The other 3 intersections, the numbers were very similar between the 2 counts. All 3 that we finalized reports on were unwarranted. But like I've said, the main focus is to improve traffic flow and safety. So although North Washington Street with its intersection of Hudson and Harrison was unwarranted, the recommendation that the engineer's office provided to the Traffic Safety Committee was not to touch that signal. We did not feel that changing the operation of that signal benefited the community in regards to safety and traffic flow. Same with the signal at Calvert at Jefferson and Madison. We did a study there. It was unwarranted. But again, we didn't move forward with proposing to fully remove that signal. We just moved forward March 1st, changing the operation of that signal so it only operates at the beginning and the end of school. And then we did move forward, as many of you know, and the press releases have been put out, to continue the study to analyze whether we would like to potentially remove the signal at Market Street and Frost Parkway. That was changed March 1st. We've observed traffic flow all of last week, and we'll continue to do so for a 90-day period and continue to discuss on a monthly basis at our Traffic Safety Committee meeting. After that 90-day period, if we still feel comfortable, then we'll discuss moving forward with the next 60-day process of bagging that signal and continuing to observe traffic flow and safety at that intersection with the signal bagged. Upon that 150 days, then we'll make the determination whether or not we want to move forward with the removal of that signal. But it is continuing to be monitored. And we didn't just base our decision solely off traffic counts on that intersection. We took it 1 step further and we did a gap analysis. So we timed traffic down at the intersection of Benner Street and Market Street. Similar intersection upstream, right? We counted that through our analysis, there's a 30-second time period on average where you have constant flow coming down Market Street. However, there's a 50-second average time period where traffic flow is not constant. And the reason for that is Market Street's a one-way street, and the traffic flow on Market Street is being impacted by the traffic signal at Sandusky Street. So the light at Sandusky Street's creating the adequate gaps on that Market Street flow that we felt to safely allow pedestrians to cross Market Street, as well as vehicles approaching the intersection from Frost Parkway or the Kiwanis Manor to safely enter into that intersection. So just wanted to give City Council the full in-depth on that. We definitely learned a lot from that first phase, and I think that we've extended our efforts more significantly this second time around. This is it, though. These are the last 4 traffic signals that we plan to look at here in the near future. As I said, we have a lot of sewer work coming up. We're going to start shifting our efforts towards other areas. Not saying that traffic signals aren't important, and they do need to continue to be monitored. But we're not going to put the extensive amount of time in moving forward until we get a little further into the sewer project and have additional time to do so. ADA transition plan development, hopeful at some point this year we can get a text version of an ADA transition plan to City Council to approve. We're doing lots of ADA improvements currently to our city facilities and within our public right-of-ways, and we'll be asking City Council for an approval of an official plan in regards to ADA compliance. Culvert and bridge inspection programs, I will talk about those later on in the presentation, but we do oversee the management of those programs. Stormwater management program, so this is the big one. So our office, we had an Ohio EPA mandated stormwater management program that was approved by City Council, I believe, 3 years ago now. Our office is responsible for overseeing stormwater management as it pertains to active construction sites and active stormwater facilities like detention and retention basins. If you look at the chart on the bottom left of the presentation, we have 38 existing stormwater facilities in our community, 12 being public, 26 private. As we continue to develop our community, that number of stormwater facilities is only going to continue to increase. We already have 3 right now that are in the works of being proposed or under construction. So at the end of this year, that number 38 is going to increase more than likely to 41, if not more. Those existing facilities are required by our stormwater management program to be inspected on an annual basis. Furthermore, any active construction site that disturbs 1 acre or more of land is required to be inspected weekly or after a rain event of a ½ inch in a 24-hour period, monthly, plus an initial and a final inspection. Based on the development that we had going on in our community last year, there was 250 of those construction site inspection reports submitted to our office. So currently we are requiring third-party professionals to do those inspections. However, that is part of that Ordinance 2216 that you'll be eventually voting on. With the addition of Ryan Steinmetz to our office, we are going to be proposing to the private property owners and to the developers that we're going to provide our assistance if they choose to use them to complete those inspections. So that's where I'm saying we could generate a significant amount of revenue off of that ordinance. So we're going to propose to do those inspections probably at a fraction of the cost that they're paying those third-party consultants that were submitting those reports to us for our review anyway. So, you know, there's potential for 290 plus inspections being generated on an annual basis just off the stormwater management program. Active transportation plan, I just want to assure you that this has not been a plan that's just been put on the shelf. We do have 2 projects that we're devoting efforts towards that I'll get into a little more detail later on in the presentation. And then finally, our street paving program. So this past winter, actually it was probably December, Jason and myself redrove all the streets in town, assigned them a 1 through 5 rating. And we've updated it into our street paving log, which I brought up on the screen. So this is the street paving log that we utilize to develop our long-term paving plans. Basically, we have a spreadsheet that breaks down every block of every road within our community. Like I said, we rate it on a 1 through 5 basis, and then there's an estimated cost to pave each block of every road. Within this presentation, I want to show everyone that we are tracking proposed sewer construction year, proposed aqua construction, as well as proposed Columbia gas construction. So we, I feel, have significantly increased the collaboration that we have with the private utility companies in our community. We have now secured a 5-year plan from Aqua, as well as a 5-year plan from Columbia Gas. So we have incorporated the roads that they're planning to dig on into our paving log to reduce the chances that a road is going to be dug up by a utility company shortly after that road is paved. So I think this is huge. Dale, the mayor and myself, we just met with Columbia Gas last week. They presented their 2023 plan to us. Their 2023 plan was proposing to dig on 7 roads that we just paved last year. Yeah, the back end of that email wasn't a good one to be on, but it was a very successful meeting, and we got them to develop a 5-year plan. And since that meeting, I've had to totally revamp my 5-year paving plan to make sure that we're not going to be paving a road that we know that they're going to be digging on. So we have a plan in place that really promotes a road not being dug on within 5 years of it being paved unless it's dug on for an emergency basis. I mean, we can't get away if they have a main break, they're gonna have to dig up the road. But as far as a planned approach, I strongly feel we have a very solidified plan in place. And we utilize that log to develop our 5-year paving plan, which we track here as well. And you can see there's a significant amount of proposed paving to be done in the next 5 years. Permit update. So we issue many different types of permits to our office, from floodplain permits to sewer taps, stormwater permits, and zoning permits. Last year, I reported the significant increase on the zoning permit side. We did 223 in comparison to the 170 in 2019, and I strongly felt that was a result of the stimulus money that was being put out to the residents. Last year, 222, and we were only 1 permit off. You'll see in the chart on the bottom left, those 222 permits, we have an estimated cost line on our zoning permits, and we're tracking $18.5 million of investment was made into our community last year based off the zoning permits that we issued. The other thing that we're tracking here are the different boards and commissions that we oversee: Zoning Board of Appeals, Architectural Board of Review, and Planning Commission. There was a significant increase in the amount of Planning Commission hearings last year. That was a result. Last year, we reviewed 3 preliminary plats and approved a final plat. It had been a significant amount of time since we've had the development in our community, especially on the housing and the residential side, that's required the preliminary and final platting process. So we are seeing a significant amount of investment in our community. The other thing I want to note is the number of hearings between the Zoning Board of Appeals, the Architectural Board of Review, and the Planning Commission. There was 36 board meetings last year. Very key that we brought on Dawn Wright in that administrative assistant role to handle the minutes for 36 different board meetings and assist with those dockets. Sewer tap permits, 26 inspections. Those all have to be, or 26 permits. Those all have to be inspected. So again, on top of the 280 plus stormwater inspections that are being done, Ryan Steinmetz can take on the 26 tap inspections on the sewer side that we're seeing. Significant amount of work, and that frees up Jason Mortar, like I said, to focus his attention on building our GIS platform, assisting with the design on more local funded projects, so that we can do those more in-house at a cheaper cost than if we were to sub those out to consultants. Maintenance violations, that's the chart on the right side there. Dan Brickner did an incredible job last year. We never really had a systematic approach in place on how we were going to handle maintenance violations in the city. So Dan built a system from ground up last year. And, you know, he did that while you have an influx in zoning permits. You have an influx of Architectural Board of Review meetings due to the facade enhancement program, things like that. And he did it without batting an eye, and he's working diligently to obtain compliance on the problematic properties throughout our city. And we've already seen a significant amount of success with his efforts. But last year, when he started developing the program, which he did in June, we had 17 of those maintenance violations that he was following up on just in that 6-month period. So lots of effort, and I can't say it enough, Dan did an admirable job last year. One of the main goals that I've had since taking over was leveraging our local funds with as many federal, state, and local funding sources as possible. Last year, we were successful obtaining 3 grants in excess of $1.4 million. And I'm very proud to say since 2018, the city engineer's office has brought in nearly 5.4 million and implemented in excess of 7 million in local, state, and federal grant funds for community and infrastructure projects. So, you know, we're definitely bringing in as much money as we can to leverage with those local funds. The success for this, I firmly believe, is a direct result of the road and bridge levy. It takes money to get money, and that passage of that road and bridge levy is the main reason we've been so successful bringing in the 5.4 million over the last 3 years. 2022, we do plan to pursue 0% loan as well as another grant. We're planning to come to council probably in the fall to get legislation passed to apply for a $500,000 0% loan for next year's street paving program from the Ohio Public Works Commission. So last year we received, as you'll see in that chart, $500,000 from the Ohio Public Works Commission for the Ellis Street River Bridge. That's the maximum amount you can receive. By us taking that maximum amount, some of the local jurisdictions like the Seneca County Engineer's Office were unable to get Ohio Public Works funding. So to play nice in that same sandbox, like they say, we agreed we probably would sit out on submitting a grant application this year, especially knowing the Ellis Street River Bridge isn't going to fully begin construction until 2023. But we didn't want to lose out on the opportunity to provide benefit through the program. So we're feeling that if we submit a 0% loan, we can continue to pave more roads because each year, you know, the prices continue to go up. So if they're going to give you a 0% loan, you might as well ask for that $500,000 now because that road was only going to cost that much more the next year to wait to pave it. The other grant that we're planning to go after is for improvements at South River Road Trail. So a couple years back, we converted South River Road, the cut-through road from Ellis Street to Sandusky Street, to a trail by the addition of a cul-de-sac. Many of you are probably familiar with where the old slaughterhouse used to be down there. We plan to go to the Tiffin Community Foundation for a grant application to try to improve that with a nice beautified river overlook to further enhance our trail system and obtain access to that river. We're also exploring, you know, every other opportunity of funding out there. So on the engineering side right now, there's an influx of money out there that can be utilized towards projects. You got ARPA funding and then President Biden's new infrastructure law. So we're looking at all different sources and opportunities that are out there. I will say that President Biden's infrastructure law, in my opinion, is not looking too promising. The mayor and myself sat in on a webinar put on by Senator Brown within the last month. In my opinion, it looked like a majority of the money was being allocated to programs that favor larger cities and larger projects. I did my research on some of the programs that they're funding, and you go look at those programs, and on a typical year, they're awarding 2 projects entirely in the state of Ohio. So if they double the funding, where are we going to have 4 or 5 projects in the state of Ohio? Well, we can't compete with Cleveland, Columbus, Cincinnati, Toledo, all them cities. So in my opinion, it's not looking promising. I've been told by consultants the purpose behind that law was to increase revenue by 30%. They were predicting that increased revenue would result in 10% inflation. So they're looking at it as a net 20% investment to the infrastructure throughout the entire United States. My concern is we're going to see the 10% increase in inflation. So I'm just hopeful that we can at least get 10% additional revenue so we can say we're net zero. So that's my thoughts on that. But like I said, we're going to pursue everything that we can find available out there. Moving on to the project side, 2021 was no letdown on the number of projects that we oversaw. We had the Railroad Safety Curb Project, which installed curbing around the railroad gates at the Perry Market, Clinton Wall, and Nelson Street intersections. That was just over $40,000. We did the design. We did the management of the construction of the installation of those curbs. We had the East Market and East Perry Street Railroad Safety Project, the picture off to the right. This was part of the Quiet Zone Project, which eliminated the queuing on the Market Street, Perry Street intersection. just under $818,000. And I'll go into a little detail further down on this slide, but we took care of the construction inspection on that project. Shawn Avenue Roadway Improvement Project, $183,000 plus project, 74% of it was funded by ODSA and Odot. We did the design, we did the inspection internally within our office. This widened and reconstructed Shawn Avenue just south of Tiber Road in conjunction with the spec building that was previously built there that's now housed by TH Plastics. We did the design and the construction administration on the downtown stamped concrete crosswalk project last year. So this installed the concrete crosswalks at the intersections of Washington and Madison, Washington and Market, and Washington and Perry. We did the design and inspection on our annual pavement repair program for just over $526,000 last year. We did the design and inspection on an OPWC pavement repair program last year, which paved the roads on Hudson Street and Oak Street, North Monroe, Franklin, Ash, just under $360,000. 33% of that was funded by the Ohio Public Works Commission. We partnered with ODOT last year for an urban paving project. Total cost of that project was just over $822,000. Of that total amount, 80% was federally funded through the ODOT urban paving program. So that resurfaced Melmore Street from Hedges Street to the corporation limits, Washington Street downtown from St. Joe's to the river, as well as a portion of Sandusky Street from the Ellis Street area down to Cottage Avenue. And then finally, we finalized the wastewater treatment plant project last year, just over $12 million, 0% loan. So down there in that little square bottom left, you'll see the objective. The objective has always been to reduce the amount of money spent on consultants by overseeing as many phases of each project as possible internally within the city engineer's office. I'm proud of what we did last year. I think we saved the city a significant amount of money. As I went through that list, I told you we designed this one. We saw the inspection on this one. Last year, we only used consultants on the design of the East Market and East Perry Street project, as well as entirely on the wastewater treatment plant project. If you look at that chart on the right, East Market and East Perry Street, that contractor worked out there 48 days last summer. So that was a significant undertaking of our office to do that inspection. But my estimates, we saved $53,000 of city local taxpayer dollars by taking on that inspection ourselves. But it wasn't at no cost. We incurred an additional 96 hours of workload by doing that. But I think there was a lot of benefit there, $54,000 pretty much in savings. This upcoming year's 2022 construction project. So we'll have our annual pavement repair program. The paving list is on the right in that chart. We have awarded that contract to Helms & Sons Excavating. Plan for that project to kick off this spring and go through the summer. We're only going to do the base bid only this year. The reason for that is the Ellis Street River Bridge is upcoming. There's so much question and costs right now with inflation. We wanted to make sure we were on the conservative side and didn't overstrap ourselves by paving too much too quickly. So we wanted to hold off on the alternates, and we'll pave those next year. Nature Trails Park Improvement Project, that is the CDBG funded project. That project will kick off this spring. It has a June completion date, also being completed by Helms & Sons. The Rock Creek Wall project, if you look at the picture down at the bottom of the screen, I know that wall collapsed when Mario was still the city engineer and he wanted to get that project taken care of. We're finally moving forward. So we're going to, that wall collapsed into Rock Creek just east of our Circular Street Bridge near Heidelberg's campus. We have bid the project. We have an awarded contract with R&I Construction, a very reputable local company, and we're planning to rip out the remainder of that creek wall, transition that bank into a natural stream bank this summer. Work should begin in July and August on that project. Ellis Street River Bridge project, so we'll be bidding that project this year. Clearing and grubbing efforts I would expect to start this fall. But we are setting up the plans that the road closure cannot happen until after Memorial Day of 2023. Our reasoning for doing that is to ensure that that project is only impacting the school on one school year. So if we wait until close Ellis Street down until after Memorial Day of 2023, we're only going to impact the front end of that 2023-2024 school year. Right now, that estimated cost for that bridge is $3.9 million. I will say 2 months ago, that cost estimate was $3.2 million. So we've seen a $700,000 increase on that project alone, which further justifies our conservative approach towards street paving right now. It's almost a $4 million project to begin with. You could get into substantial change orders with a project of that magnitude. So we just want to ensure that we're paying for this bridge without any long-term borrowing of money. So we're going to take a little conservative approach till we get through with that project. Also this year, we're going to be replacing the curb ramps for the future 2023 urban paving project. Helms & Sons is going to complete those curb ramps on South Washington Street and West Market Street this upcoming summer in advance of the paving being done in 2023. Also moving into this year, the design side, extensive list of projects that we have going on in addition to the construction projects. So we're finalizing Ellis Street River Bridge plans as we speak. Final plans are due to Odot April 1st. We're working with DGL Consulting Engineers with that project. Like I said, we'll be bidding it this summer. East Perry Street reconstruction project. That is to rebuild East Perry Street from Heidelberg campus up to the library where the pavement's failing, as you'll see in that top right picture. It's an estimated cost project of $816,000. We received 95% federal funding towards that project from ODOT's Small Cities program. We're planning to have final plans done by February of 2023 and hopeful to get that project constructed next summer and next fall. We're working with American Structure Point on that project, and I know Connor's in attendance here, and I appreciate their efforts towards that project. The next two projects, Cso Basin 24 and 30 and Cso Basin 16, are a result of the long-term control plan. They're the next sewer projects per that Ohio EPA mandated long-term control plan. We're working with AECOM on both of those projects. The 24 and 30 project has an estimated cost of $850,000. We have plans that are due to be submitted to the Ohio EPA this June. So we're getting close to the finish line on that one. Construction will begin April 2023 tentatively and carry on potentially into 2024. The project area for that is the Charlotte and Front Street area, kind of down between Frost Parkway or Frost County Stadium and Calvert's Athletic Complex down by the Sandusky River, as well as the area just east of Calvert and Little Hedges Park area, Rebecca Street, Sean Hart. Those areas will be impacted as a result of that project. The Cso Basin 16 project, $227,000 estimate. Those plans are due to the EPA next June of 2023. That should start construction in 2024. Those project areas are near Washington School, the Cherry Street area, as well as Tiffin Point area between West Market Street and Fair Lane. We'll move forward this summer and fall designing our 2023 paving project. We're estimating a cost of $850,000, and like I said, we'll be going to the Ohio Public Works Commission to try to obtain a $500,000 0% loan. So of that $850,000 project, hopefully we're only putting $350,000 in local money to ensure that we're still investing the amount that's needed to maintain our roads on a 15 to 20-year paving cycle. We are designing our 2023 urban paving project right now. Estimated cost is $725,000, but we have secured a 80% federally funded ODOT Urban Paving Program grant, which will fund up to $516,000 of that $725,000. We have final plans due in October this year, and that is to pave South Washington Street from St. Joe's Church to the Glen Street intersection by Kraut School, as well as West Market Street from Elmer Street to Sandusky, and we're also working with American Structure Point on that project as well. HSTS elimination project. So in December, we were awarded funding from ARPA funding from the Ohio Water and Wastewater Grant Program, $390,000. It's an estimated project cost of $520 to eliminate 10-plus septic systems from our community and get those properties tied into an existing sanitary sewer or a sanitary sewer extension that we would be building as a result of this project. So we're getting ready to kick off the design of that in the upcoming months with the assistance of MS Consultants. Trail connectivity project. We'll be reviewing letters of interest from a RFQ submission this week. That project is proposing connecting all of our trail legs. So as you know, we have trails at Sheckelhoff Park, Hedges Boyer Park, the Rock Creek Trail. We have a lot of trail legs throughout our community, but they're lacking that connectivity. So this plan will be developed to create one unified connected trail system throughout our city. So we're extending efforts towards that, and like I said, the South River Road improvements as well. Wanted to give a quick update on our bridges. So we have 13 bridges that we're responsible to maintain in the city. I will note that any bridge on a state route is the responsibility of Odot. Odot does the bridge inspections for the city of Tiffin through the use of a consultant. We have an Odot Municipal Bridge Inspection Program. So at $0 to us, our bridges are inspected by a consultant under contract with Odot. Currently, that contract's with Manick and Smith. They did change the program July 2021. So previously, all of our bridges were inspected on an annual basis. ODOT realized that every bridge probably was not worth being inspected annually, especially if they're in good standing condition. So ODOT's built what's called a reliability-based inspection program. And some bridges now, any qualifying bridge that prolongs their inspection interval period to 24 months. So some bridges will still be inspected on an annual basis, but some bridges may qualify to be inspected every 2 years now. Overall, our bridges are in pretty good standing at the current point in time. Typically, all bridges are rated on a 1 to 9 scale, 1 being bad, 9 being good. Typically, it requires a general appraisal rating of 4 or less to qualify for any sort of funding. We only have one bridge right now that is rated less than a 4 or less, and that's the Ellis Street River Bridge, which we have plans to move forward with that full replacement next year. We have 1 5 and 5 6s. So my only concern is that 1 5 and those 5 6s are all going to degrade to that 4 about the same time period. So probably in the next 5-10 years, we're going to have a significant amount of bridge replacement or deck repairs all going on around that same time period. We have 3 bridges that are posted for weight restrictions, those being at North River Road, Riverside Drive, and Pinecrest. Pinecrest was an addition to being posted this year as a result of our inspections. And 3 bridges declined in rating off of last year's inspections. Huss Street went from a 9 to 8, Indian Lane Bridge went from an 8 to 7, and Pinecrest went from a 7 to 6. In regards to our appraisals, our culverts, we do the inspections internally within the city engineer's office. We also team up with Public Works with those inspections as well as they try to use maintenance measures to prolong the lifespan of our roadway culverts. We have 11 total roadway culverts. Like I said, those inspections are done by our office. The inspection intervals of any culvert rated 4 or less on that same 1 to 9 basis, we're inspecting annually. Any culvert that was rated a 5 or 6 on its first inspection, we're doing every 5 years, and any culvert that was rated 6 or higher is getting inspected on a 10-year period. So we started this program 3 years ago when I took over the engineer's office. We do have 2 culverts, as you can see in the pictures and per their rating, that need to be addressed. That being the Harvest Lane culvert as well as the South Sandusky Street culvert. Our plan is to address those right after the Ellis Street Bridge. So we're going to do the Ellis Street Bridge project, get our bridges in good shape, and then extend our typical bridge efforts towards these 2 culverts, and we plan to get these 2 culverts replaced in the next 5 years. We continue to manage and update a 5-year plan. As you can see, there's no shortage of future projects or slowdown. Based upon that 5-year plan, I can only envision that plan, there's going to be continuous additions of projects to that plan as we continue to progress through it. I do want to note that, this plan doesn't even include the work devoted towards private development in our day-to-day, which is also at an all-time high right now. Finally, moving into the last slide, I've always established goals at this presentation. I left last year's goals on here. As you look through them, I think the top 4 that aren't accomplished yet, we have a good plan in place to get those accomplished either this year or next year. The other 2 with the check marks are done. But the thing I want to really focus on is the last one, and that's going to be our main focus going into 2022. And I kind of talked about that at the beginning of the presentation, and that's to develop staff to promote sustainability while also providing a high level of service. So I remember last year I gave this presentation. At the end of it, I think it was Councilman Gillig with his great humor called me some sort of fictional superhero, and then he asked the question, how do you get all this done in a so-called 40-hour work week? And the short answer to that, and in that little chart on the left, which I won't get into a lot of detail on, is you don't. And to do what I've just reported on an annual basis, it takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of effort. When I took on this position 3 years ago, and we were doing press releases, and you had to have the perfect quote, I remember I said, I'm going to bring a never content attitude to this office when I took it over. I think we've definitely lived up to that. We've gotten a lot done. I feel like we've done probably 10 years worth of work in these first 3. And the 5-year plan that I just showed you shows that there's no immediate letdown in the near future. We pride ourselves in providing a high level of service in everything we do. We're not just here to say we did 30 projects this year. If we're going to do 30 projects, every project we're going to do is at the highest level of service that we can provide with the utmost quality. So, I'd be lying if I said I'm not getting a little tired at this point. But that's why I'm saying developing staff to promote sustainability is going to be a key in order to continue to maintain the high level of energy that's needed to provide the quality and level of service we strive to maintain while meeting the demand and expectations placed on ourselves by the administration, city council, our peers throughout the city, our fellow department heads, and most importantly, the public. So again, I apologize for the amount of time. I know it was very lengthy. I appreciate everyone's attentiveness. I always appreciate the opportunity to speak with you. I will be emailing a copy of the presentation out to each of the council members tomorrow, as well as the administration. And if anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Matt, I think I speak for everybody that you continue to impress us every year. As lengthy as your presentations are, it's really good information, and it's honestly, it's very impressive, and we appreciate all your work. Councilman Leopard, did you have something?
I won't tell you who the official timekeeper is, but I'm
I beat Rob
only
Chappell?
going to
59 minutes and 3 seconds, Matt.
That was quicker than the practice runs at home.
Yeah, Rob was very happy with your presentation.
Do we have private culverts within the city?
I'm sure we do, under some driveways, things like that. We're only tracking the culverts that are extending under our roadways for our maintenance purposes.
If a resident has a culvert or a pipe underneath his driveway, and I have a situation in my ward, there's about a 75-foot area between his driveway and the catch basin. And the slope has been deteriorating through the years. And I noticed yesterday we have quite a backup now on the backside of that culvert.
Right.
Do I need to contact Brandon, or that's something we take care of?
Well, that drive culvert is providing access through our right-of-way to provide access to that property, I guess is my personal opinion on that. If it's creating some sort of flooding issue, we could take a look at it. internally within our office to see if there's any remedies that can be made. So if you want to send me an email or give me a call tomorrow, we can talk about it a little further and I'd be glad to take a look at it.
Okay. What's really funny about this is the property is now owned by one of your staff.
Okay. That always makes it funner. I love those conversations.
Councilman Jones? Did you have something?
Thank you, Madam President. I think I can answer my first question. You mentioned North Washington, Harrison, and Hudson, which is better known as Fort Ball Pizza and Viaduct Bar. I avoid that intersection every chance I get. And I'm going to ask, is it too late to reconsider that? But I think the answer is no. Item 2, more important, Helms and Sons, we awarded them quite a few contracts. How do they compare to M&B Asphalt?
Oh,
No,
this year when we had our annual paving project bid opening, we received 2 public bids. We received a bid from Helms and Sons, and we received a bid from M&B Asphalt. Our engineer's estimate was $750,000, and Helms came in lower than M&B. Helms did paving in the city in 2017. In 2017, they did our annual paving program as well as the urban paving project, which paved North Washington Street from the River Bridge to Six's Corners. It paved West Market Street between McDonald's and Wendy's, and also East Market Street out by IGA. And I thought those roads have held up. They did a good job. But yeah, they were the lowest bidder, and we're going to take advantage of the good bid that they gave us. And we'll hold them to our expectations through oversight and administration of the work from the engineer's office side.
Councilman Leopard?
Well, you just answered my question then, because I have concerns with Helms doing the concrete ADA work. We have had issues with them in the past.
I know what project you're referring to.
Any other questions for Matt? Yes.
Not a question, but I know the mayor would want me to share with you how proud we are of what Matt does. You can tell by his presentation tonight what that small office staff accomplishes. It's just exhausting to look at how much work got done by very few people, some of whom have very little experience yet. So Matt, we want to thank you for how hard you do work. I will tell you that it's a reflection of what happens in almost all our departments. So when Brandon comes in here and talks about his department, I don't know if he'll go 59 minutes and 3 seconds. But
He talks faster than I do.
yeah, he has as many things going on as Matt does. So does our Water Pollution Control Center. So does the fire department, police department. You can just go from department to department. Prioritizing the use of their time is essential so that we keep them focused on getting this important work done for the residents. And perhaps that's why we're a little reluctant to get involved in volunteer projects and have our staff involved doing those projects when we know how much they're committed to on the behalf of the city for the residents. So I apologize to those people who sometimes think that we draw a hard line with some of these projects, but if we're going to keep Matt and Brandon and the rest of them focused on these very big projects that have to be accomplished, that are priorities, they need to have our support in doing that.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you, Matt.
Anything else for Matt? Okay. All right, that concludes the mayor's report. And moving into the clerk of council, Ann Torres.
No report, Madam President.
Thank you. Director of Finance, Kathy Kaufman.
Thank you, Madam President. It's going to be difficult to follow that.
He's going to get a lot of grief over that in the next week.
I do have the financial numbers for the month of February 2022. Total receipts for the month were $3,056,488.26. Total expenses were $2,606,523.93. The unencumbered balance for the general fund was $3,646,138.31. Income tax receipts for February 2022 were $861,971.94. When you compare that in 2022 to February 2021, that was an increase of $115,871.20. So year-to-date, we are up almost 24%, 23.58. So we're doing very well. The portion that was transferred into the 0.25% income tax receipts was $105,404.07. The unexpended balance for all funds was $33,015,781.50, which is the same as the bank balances for the same time period. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Kathy. Any questions for Finance Director? Yes, Councilman Jones.
Thank you, Madam President. Again, not nitpicking, but I just want the community to know that City Council is looking over the financial reports. And I saw this follow-up here. I was concerned about the outstanding checks. How do we notify the public that they may have a refund due them? And I did see some notice. And I guess I questioned, is that notice in the paper? Is it hanging on the City Hall bulletin board?
It's a personal letter that gets sent out by one of my staff.
Okay. And then we follow up on these 13
Yes, we do.
diligently.
Yes, we do each year. And what it ends up being is you'll see like 12 months sitting there because we do these write-offs, which is something that's probably going to be announced later in this meeting. We have the write-offs that we're going to do for 2020, these are ones that we have done our due diligence. We've sent these personal letters. Some of them responded to us. We reissued a check, and then they never cashed the second check. So we have looked at all of these, but what we do is we do it in one batch when we do the write-offs. So what we want to do is wait until all of the checks for the entire year are at least a year old. That's our auditing procedure. So you're waiting until everything that was written in December of the year to finally also be 1 year old. So in 2022, we're finally getting rid of anything that we couldn't contact in 2020. So for 2023, you're going to be getting rid of everything in 2021. So you're going to see those sitting out there, but we have contacted all of them. And any that we did get a better address, we did send out a new check to them. The ones that we have left to write off are the ones that we could not contact and could not get any response.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Councilman Leopard.
Just a comment, they can be reimbursed that money for up to 5 years.
That's correct, after we've written them off.
Yes, Councilman Leopard.
Thank you, Madam President. I would so move that we accept the Finance Director's report as well as the bank reconciliation.
Thank you. There's a motion to accept the Finance Director's report as well as the bank reconciliation. Is there a second, Councilman Perkins?
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to second.
Thank you. There's a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Thank you. The report stands approved. Thank you, Kathy. Director of Law, Brent T. Howard.
Thank you. Just a few items. 22-15 and 22-16 are up for third reading tonight. I know there was a reference to one of those earlier. 15 deals with the optometry property transfer. 22-16 are the fees. Both of those, they do not have emergencies. So you do have enough people tonight to pass it, both of those ordinances. So you don't need 5 to declare an emergency. Next item, the city did receive a civil lawsuit filed by Alexandria Orta, naming Mark Rep and the Tiffin Municipal Court as defendants. We have followed our usual procedure, contacted the city's insurance carrier. They are in the process of determining the insurance coverage for the claims that are made, and also whether legal counsel then will be engaged to represent those parties. Last item I have is that it was mentioned, the Rock Creek Wall Project. You passed Ordinance 22-1 authorizing the acceptance of an easement from Heidelberg University to access and to do the repairs and maintain that wall. That easement was signed by Heidelberg and was recorded today. So we have that completed and you can move forward then with the project. That concludes my report. Are there any questions for me? Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. Moving into written communications.
Thank you. We have mayor's request for legislation number 22-08, increase to 297 American Rescue Plan Act.
Mayor's request for legislation number 22-08 is prepared for tonight's meeting as ordinance 22-25.
And we have finance director's request for legislation number F22-8 to amend the 2022 budget ordinance 21-105 to appropriate funds into the mayor and park budgets.
Finance director's request for legislation number 22-8 is prepared for in tonight's meeting packet as ordinance 22-24.
And then we also have finance director's letter to council with the unclaimed funds for 2020 for a total of $1,686.55.
That letter will be held on file in the clerk's office.
That concludes the written communications.
Okay, additionally, council, I'm sorry.
Madam President, going back to Mayor's request for legislation 22-08.
Yes.
Part of that is included in ordinance 22-25, but there are other parts of that, I believe, and maybe the finance director can help me, but I think there are other items in that that might need to be considered by city council. Isn't that right, Kathy?
Yes.
So I think it should be referred to the committee.
Finance committee.
Yes, so that they can review it and then bring back legislation for the remainder of that
Remaining
letter.
items. Okay, thank you. So I will refer Mayor's request for legislation number 22-08 to the Finance Committee. Additionally, council has received a letter from the Tiffin Fire Union. I will be forwarding that to the administration and to keep us updated of any updates as needed. We are now under oral communications. Anyone wishing to address council may step to the podium, sign in, and direct their questions to Council President. Seeing none, we are now under motions. Are there any motions? Okay, seeing none, we are now under resolutions and ordinances.
We have no resolutions this evening, so I'll pass on to the ordinances. Ordinance number 22-15, introduced by Steve Leopard. Ordinance authorizing the conveyance of property to ZRB Brewers LLC or its designee adjacent to 190 South Washington Street, Tiffin, Ohio, as approved by the mayor.
This is the third reading of ordinance 22-15. Councilman Leopard.
Comments?
Oh, any comments?
I'd just like to say that the property that we're be transferring to ZRB Brewers is just a several foot wide piece of vacated alley along with a wall. This property will be of great benefit to the ZRB Brewers, and it's be a great benefit for to get this off of get it away from the city, because that wall could be a liability at some point in time. And you know, it was really you know, it was really great to have a public-private project, and worked out so well for both people.
Awesome, thank you.
It was very nice working with ZRB Brewers as well. I think we did more text messaging than we did anything else.
Awesome.
Emails, I should say.
Awesome, thank you. Any other comments? Yes.
We did invite them to come tonight in case they had anything they wanted to say to council? Is there anything you wanted to say tonight?
Is there any beer you wanted to bring?
Yeah.
You learned a lot about the engineering department.
Awesome, well, thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Anything else? Yes, Councilman Leopard.
Thank you. I would ask for passage of ordinance number 22-15.
Thank you. There's a motion for passage of ordinance 22-15. Is there a second? Councilman Perry.
Yeah, I'll second, Madam President.
There's a motion and a second for passage of ordinance 22-15. Is there any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, I'll ask the clerk to call the vote on the passage.
Councilmember Perkins,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
and Leopard.
Yes.
Ordinance 22-15 passes with a vote of 4 of 7. Yeah.
Ordinance number 22-16, introduced by Ben Gillig. Ordinance amending section 1129.04 of Tiffin Codified Ordinances, establishing plan review, inspection, and testing fees for services provided by the engineer's office for private development involving public infrastructure, and amending sections 909.07G and 909.09A11 of Tiffin Codified Ordinances, establishing inspection fees for services provided by the city engineer's office under the Stormwater Management Regulations.
This is the third reading of ordinance 22-16. Councilman Leopard.
Thank you, Madam President. I would ask for passage of ordinance number 22-16.
Thank you. There's a motion for passage of ordinance 22-16. Is there a second? Yes, Councilman Perkins.
I'd like to second the motion, please.
Thank you. There's a motion and a second for passage of ordinance 22-16. Any discussion? Yes, Councilman Leopard.
I guess we were very well informed by our city engineer about this ordinance this evening. Thank you, Matt.
Councilman Jones.
And speaking of Engineer Watson, he mentioned tonight that it could generate some additional funds for the city, so all for this.
Thank you. Anything else? Okay, seeing none, I'll ask the clerk to call the vote on the passage.
Councilman Perkins,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
and Leopard.
Yes.
Ordinance 22-16 passes with a vote of 4-0.
Ordinance number 22-18, introduced by Steve Leopard. Ordinance to revise the codified ordinances by adopting replacement pages thereto and declaring an emergency.
This is the second reading of ordinance 22-18.
Ordinance number 22-20, introduced by Zach Perkins. Ordinance responding to petition number 108, vacating an alley in Davis Estate Edition, running east from Oak Street in the 2nd Ward of the city of Tiffin, Ohio.
This is the second reading of ordinance 22-20.
Ordinance number 22-22, introduced by Zach Perkins. An ordinance providing for the issuance and sale of bonds in the maximum principal amount not to exceed $3,250,000 for the purpose of improving Progress Parkway and Fair Lane between certain termini and adjacent city property by grading, draining, curbing, paving, constructing sidewalks, curb ramps, sanitary sewers, water lines and storm sewers, and stormwater detention basins, and installing and improving catch basins, fire hydrants, manholes, street lighting and traffic signs, signals and signalization where necessary, in each case together with the necessary appurtenances and work incidental thereto, including certain related and required improvements to U.S. Route 224, County Roads 1 and 54, and Township Road 18, and acquiring real estate and interest in real estate in connection therewith, and declaring an emergency.
This is the second reading of ordinance 22-22.
Ordinance number 22-23, introduced by Kenneth Jones. Ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor to grant an easement from the city of Tiffin, Ohio, to the Protestant Episcopal Church known as Trinity Church, and also known as Old Trinity Church, for an encroachment on city property at 125 East Market Street, and declaring an emergency.
This is the first reading of ordinance 22-23.
Ordinance number 22-24, introduced by Zach Perkins, ordinance amending the 2022 budget ordinance number 21-105 to appropriate a total of $5,600 into the mayor and park budgets for the spring and fall cleanup of the East Green.
This is the first reading of ordinance 22-24.
Ordinance number 22-25, introduced by Zach Perkins. Ordinance authorizing the city administrator to execute a contract for playground equipment at Hedges Boyer Park with Game Time using Omnia Partners Cooperative Purchasing Program, amending the 2022 budget ordinance number 21-105 to appropriate $708,872.78 for the expense and declaring an emergency.
This is the first reading of ordinance 22-25.
And that concludes the ordinances, Madam President.
Okay, thank you. At this time, I'd like to announce a special meeting for March 14th at 5 p.m. in the council chambers to discuss ordinance 22-24 and ordinance 22-25 and any other business that may come before council. And then additionally, I would like to announce a public hearing to take place on March 21st during the regularly scheduled city council meeting to discuss ordinance 22-20. Councilman Perry.
This might be a dumb question, but wondering 22-24 and 22-25, what the importance of having the meeting on Monday instead of just waiting until our second meeting in March.
Yes.
I mean, I can speak to 22-25. There are some costs that may go up, may increase if we don't lock into a price. And this is for the inclusive playground equipment at Hedges Boyer Park. I think there was actually a date, March 12th, I think it's in the ordinance, that there could be some equipment cost that goes up. And so I've got a note, I'm gonna contact Bryce Kuhn and see if he can make sure that, that falls on a Saturday, and I assume that they might extend this until, first part of the week. So it could save tax dollars by making sure that we get this approval as soon as possible. I can't speak to 22-24 though, don't know.
I think
Thank you.
there's a purchase order that needs to be open to allow for the spring portion of that cleaning, and it needs to be open soon since spring, although it may not look like it tonight, it's almost on us. And so we'd like to get that money appropriated by council so that the parks could initiate that contract. I'll mention that this is reimbursed to us by the East Green Foundation, so it will come at no cost to the city, but we have to appropriate the money and then be reimbursed.
Yeah. Anything else for the good of the order? Awesome, thank you very much. Stand adjourned.
I said-